Hi everybody. So today we're going to start investigating evolutionary relationships, and we're going to start looking at how we figure out how things are related. When we classify things using an evolutionary classification, we're looking at how they came from a common ancestor. And so we're going to do this with an analogy of a race in which we have the runners A, B, C, D, E, and F. And so a few things to go over before we start, which is from the instructions, is that all the runners start with a blank runner card. The runners collect a stamp from each check-in station that they pass. Each check-in station uses only one stamp, and no two check-in stations use the same stamp. The path always forked in two, and paths never crossed or rejoined. Runners could not go backwards or backtrack. All the runners reached the far side of the park and finished the race. Using the stamps runners' cards, draw a map of the course, labeling the starting point, each check-in station with the symbol and stamp it uses, and where each runner finished, with the letter of the runner who emerged there. Remember that all the runners finished in a unique location, so on your final map you should see one start and 6 finishing points. And it's important to note here, when I was doing this, it took me a couple of times to get it right. So don't get discouraged if you have to start over. I had to start over a couple of times myself. And so for me, looking at these runner cards, I didn't even know where to start. And so I started looking at them. I noticed that some of them had symbols in common, and some of them had symbols that the other cards didn't have. So what I started out doing was I picked a symbol, and then I put the runners next to that symbol. So if we look at the arch, runners A, B, well, all the runners had the symbol of the arch. Then I looked at the pentagon, and everyone had the pentagon except runner F. Then I looked at the X, and again, every runner had it except for F. Then I looked at the circle, and only runners A and D had the circle. I looked at the slash, and runners B, C, and E had the slash. The square was only A, and the hourglass was E and B. So now it's a little bit organized, but I was still like, okay, where do I even begin? So I know that this is a race. So I know that everybody started at the same position. So I know that all the runners started here. So everybody started the race. Then I know that F broke away from everybody else. And so F broke away from the pack, and everybody else went the other direction. And how do I know this? Because F was not on the Pentagon list. So that means he did not get the Pentagon stamp. So I know that here, everybody got the Pentagon stamp. And then as I'm looking at it, everybody also got the X at this station. So all the other runners, A, B, C, D, and E, are running together. And then F made it all the way to the finish line. Everybody's going to make it to the finish line. It's just how they got there is what we need to figure out. Okay, so then we're going to have another branch, and now I need to figure out who went what direction. So if I look at runner A and I try to take runner A off all by itself, that doesn't work. Because A is also associated with D. D has a circle, A has a circle, and a square. So I can't just use the square. And so if I want to break these guys apart, I know that runners A and D went their own path because they have the circle. And that the other runners, B, C, and E, went the other way and they have the slash. So now your job is to figure out how everybody else got to the finish line. Remember, I had to redraw it a couple of times before I got it right. You're going to want to make a rough draft and then put your final draft on the handout. You're also going to want to take a picture of your final draft once you make it nice and neat, because you're going to upload that picture into the presentation when we go over this in class. Good luck.